So on behalf of the Independence Chamber of Commerce, welcome to First Friday for the month of July. Hope you all had an amazing 4th of July. It was a great celebration. I have to give a shout out to Jim Kelly for coordinating all of the volunteer efforts to raise the funds, the over $15,000 that was raised in order for us to have a great celebration last night. So I think we need to give him a round of applause. He's not here. He's probably sleeping in and enjoying some much-needed rest. He's been hard at it. So I appreciate his efforts, and I appreciate everyone who contributed to that as well, because it is a gift from our community, actually, to ourselves. So thank you if you were one of the donors to the fireworks display. So before we hear from our great list of sponsors that are on your program, we always want to start by thanking the business organization that is responsible for the fact that you're not going to hear your stomach growl during the next hour. They are the ones who provided great hot coffee from the best coffee shop in town and some great muffins. So would you please welcome the administrator of Montgomery Place, Catherine Hatton.
Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here to represent Montgomery Place. Montgomery Place is a long-term care skilled facility. We provide two different services in general. We provide rehab care, which means that somebody goes to the hospital, has broken a hip, they can come to our facility and become rehabilitated and go back home and enjoy their life as it was. We also offer long-term care. This is previously known as like nursing home care. And nursing home care, if you think about it and see it on TV, is not really what it is today in our facility, in our home. Because it's not a facility anymore, it's really a home. So that language we're trying to change to make people feel a little bit more comfortable. It's our residents' home, our elders' home, and we just work there to help them and make sure that they are safe and happy. Our company has, we serve about 30 people from the community in our facility, and we have about 45 employees to provide the wonderful, healthy care for them. Their home is their home. They bring in their furniture, their things, their personal possessions to continue to make it like their home and make it as home-like as possible. We do something called hometown hospitality, where we greet everybody with a smile and a handshake and welcome them to our home. So we have 4 philosophies that we like to follow, and first is our elders and making them feel the most respect and happiness. We then cherish our employees, where we mentor them and make it a career for them in our long-term care home. Finally, the community, and the community is a big part of what we do, and we like to give back to it. This past Wednesday, my days all running together, we had a wonderful 4th of July celebration, invited community into our home and shared with the kids that came, fireworks and different things. And our final philosophy is to be fiscally responsible so that we can be here for a long period of time. So if you haven't ever come by to visit us, we welcome you all to our home and to come and share in our love and companionship and family. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Not only do we appreciate your sponsorship this morning for First Friday, but we appreciate all the great care that you're providing to our seniors in our community and those that are needing rehab and in long-term care. So it's important for our community to have great places for people to be able to call home later in life. So thank you for all that you do. All right. As we always talk about things that are happening in the community, we usually have a two-sided calendar for July and August, but I've been flying solo for the last 3 weeks with a maternity leave, and so I'll be fully staffed come Monday, so next week you'll get August. But you have July this morning, so turn your program over and let's talk about some things real quick that are happening in the community. So I always want to point out that Mid-Continent Band is in their 127th season, and so they play in the band shell every Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock. If you're looking for something great to do during the summer months, take the kids, the grandkids out and enjoy an evening of music as they play from 8 to 9. And then that last Tuesday, and I believe it's the 30th, there will actually be family night at Mid-Continent Band. It'll be, the theme will be American Road Trip. So there'll be all kinds of music associated with road trips, and we'll have popsicles and face painting and glow sticks and everything for the kids. So make sure you bring them down for Mid-Continent Band at the end of the month. But that's every Tuesday. This afternoon, well, at 11 o'clock, we will have a ribbon cutting. Everybody is encouraged to attend, is invited to attend Dairy Queen's ribbon cutting today at 11. They are celebrating 70 years of being in independence, serving great Dairy Queen ice cream. And then Brent and Dorothy Littleton are celebrating 1 year anniversary of ownership in their beautiful new facility. So be sure and check that out at 11 o'clock. And on top of that, they have some great specials. So check out Facebook and you'll be able to see all of the specials. And I think they're going to do a shout out at the end, so you'll hear more about that. Farmers markets every Saturday, 7:30 to 10:30. They have great produce. You want to get there early for the best selection. Community recycling is always on Tuesday from 11 to 1 at 21st and Maple, and it's always on the first Saturday from 8 to noon. So we will have community recycling tomorrow. And be sure and drop your recycling off. And then I also want to say that if we're needing volunteers, the Chamber coordinates all the volunteer efforts for that. So be sure if you are interested in volunteering. I think I have volunteers for tomorrow, but if you're interested in volunteering in the future, be sure and let me know and we can get you plugged in. If it's your business organization, if it's your civic club, if it's your church, whatever it might be, let me know and we will get you plugged in. Cancer Support Group is going to be July the 9th. That's another important group that I want to make everyone aware of. Michelle Foreman is going to be the speaker that evening on caregiver support. It's being sponsored by St. John and Jane Phillips. That is very, very important program that we have in our community. So if you are a cancer fighter, a cancer survivor, a family member, a friend, anyone who is associated with that dreaded disease and you would benefit from a support group, every single person is welcome. So put that on your calendar. All Wheels Night will be July the 19th. That's an event that's downtown Independence, and it's from 6 to 8:30. It's always on the third Friday. People bring their cars, their motorcycles down. They enjoy a great evening. There's music, there's food, and it's a lot of fun. So be sure to mark that on your calendar. And then you'll probably hear a little bit more about it, but I still want to mention this because I need for you to grab that pin that Montgomery Place gave you. And mark this in because it did not get on your calendars. But on July the 20th, ICC will be providing a free football clinic for youth, all ages. It'll be out at the ICC practice field on College Avenue from 9 to 11. So if you know a small child, a teenager, anyone who might benefit from being involved in a free football clinic with all of the great football players at ICC, then mark that on your calendar and you will hear more about that in a little bit. July 24th through the 29th is the Montgomery County 4-H Fair, another great family event. You'll hear a little bit more during a shout out about the sidewalk sale on the 27th. So be sure and mark that on your calendar. Starts early in the morning at 7:30. And then that is a busy day. So Independence Community College will have their golf scramble. And then it will be followed by Helmets and Heels, and you'll hear more about that in just a little bit. And then we will end the day with Downtown Movie Night. It's being sponsored by Atmos Energy and Independence Animal Hospital, Dr. Epp, and we'll be showing Incredibles 2. So be sure and mark that on your calendar. It's completely free. Everything is free that night. The pre-show activities start at 8, and the movie starts at 9. And if you have any shout-outs, anything I've missed, any corrections, anything you want to share at the very end of the program, we have a list that's already, a lineup that's already been put together, and you'll just get at the end of the line if you have something that you want to mention to the community and make everyone aware, because all of us, there's probably close to 100 of us in here, and it's being televised, so it's an opportunity to get a lot of great information out to our community. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Our first speaker is the Executive Director of Montgomery County Action Council, Tricia Purdon. I always like to invite her every quarter to come and visit with us and to give us an update about what's happening in Independence, what's happening in the county, give us the latest and greatest on what's going on. So at this time, would you please welcome our Economic Development Director, Tricia Purdon.
Wow, I don't think I've gotten a woo before, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me. I love giving a report to you all of what's going on in Montgomery County, and I would say this has been a really, really busy first half of the year at MAC. I wanted to quickly give an update of where we're at so far this year. We do an annual report, and some of you might have seen at the end of the year last year, and we were pretty successful. We had almost 150 new jobs created in Montgomery County, several new small businesses opened, and we had several responses that we sent off to Kansas Department of Commerce or to companies who individually inquired about our county. And a lot of that comes from our brand new website that we rolled out last year, which I tell you all to go take a look at. actioncouncil.com has information about demographics, housing, jobs, new industry, news, where you can keep up to date on everything going on at MAC. We're really good about keeping up on that website. So take a look at that. But this year, it's been an interesting year. Last year, I said we were at 200 or 150 new jobs. This year, it started a little slower because we haven't had the large expansions that we saw last year. Last year, we saw John Deere expand. We saw Cessna add some new jobs. So this year's a little slower so far. We're at 35 new jobs so far this year. However, one of those is a new manufacturer that we have down between Deering and Coffeyville. We have Berg Reinvigorations that just moved here to Montgomery County. We recruited them up from Bartlesville, so that was exciting. And of course, one of our new businesses that you're going to hear from today is Indie Brew Works. So they'll be included in that count once they open. So they're not included in that count yet even. So we've responded to 10 proposals for Kansas Department of Commerce, which is up from last year. And a couple of those are already going to plan on site visits. So we have 2 site visits planned for this fall. For companies who are going to come and look at our communities. So if you see a stranger walking around and asking you about what it's like to open a business in Montgomery County, be very positive because we have some really good recruits that are coming to take a look at our communities. So we're really excited. We have 5 retail food recruitments that are currently in progress. And where those came from, we have been working I think this is my 6th year to attend, but we go every year to an annual retail recruitment conference in Las Vegas. I know, it's Las Vegas, right? But I'm allergic to cigarette smoke and I hate gambling, so it's a little rough for me. But we go every year to make those connections, to talk with business owners, we talk with developers, we talk with those retailers that are interested in coming to a rural community. And so this is my 6th year of attending that, and this year really was pretty amazing in that in the first year I think we went, I'd walk up to a booth and say, "Are you interested in expanding into a rural community?" And they'd always shake their head at me and maybe roll their eyes, and I would say, "Okay, well, thank you very much. Nice to meet you." Take their card and pass on. This year, almost every single business that I stopped in said, "Yes, we're interested in coming to rural Kansas. We're interested in coming to rural communities." And we see that this is a market that's underserved and honestly, competition, right? So we are open for opportunity now in retail, and that's already shown. So it's been 1 month since I attended that conference, and like I said, we already have 5 retailers currently considering coming to Montgomery County and are going to be looking at sites in the next month. So I'm really, really excited to get that going. There's a couple other things I want to tell you about regionally before I hit on a couple big projects. First of all, we finished our countywide economic development strategic plan. That's out there on our website if you want to take a look at it. It was really interesting. It really solidified our target industries, which if you don't know what that is, basically it's when we are responding to these requests for proposals. Typically we get 24 to 48 hours to submit these to companies or to the state of Kansas. So we need to really know what our workforce fits so that we're not recruiting a company that we have no one to work for. We don't have a skill set that's available for that. So we like to fill those gaps where we have an available workforce, we have a skilled workforce that maybe is underemployed or unemployed, that can fill those positions with a new industry. So we really carefully target those industries to make sure that we're not hurting our existing industry and we're giving new jobs to those that need new jobs. So we were able to identify 5 industries down to the 6-digit NAITS code, which is the very particular type of manufacturing that a certain company is, that we are actively, heavily recruiting for. So we've had a lot of luck with that already so far. We've been able to submit 3 different projects to companies that fit those NAITS codes, even just since we submitted that or finalized that plan. So that's exciting. In this fall, this August, we are having another region-wide meeting for US 169 and 175 and 400, of course, too, that runs through Montgomery County. If you aren't aware, KDOT issued, they had a large transportation task force that went through across the state of Kansas last year and identified projects that needed to be done for critical importance to keep the infrastructure up in the state of Kansas. So we were lucky enough to make sure that the Montgomery County projects that were already designated, designed, that were supposed to be completed in the previous T-Works program, we were guaranteed those would be done here in Montgomery County. So 75, where it goes from 4-lane to down to a 2-lane, then back to a 4-lane in Caney, that will be addressed next fall or next spring. That will start. And then, of course, you all see at the 160, 169 project, we advocated so hard last year to get that one pushed through, and we were lucky enough to get that awarded. So what's happening next is this August, they're going around and doing another listening tour to find out what the next projects are going to be. What are the next 10 years of road projects going to be in the state of Kansas? So we need a huge following for that meeting in August, and we'll be advertising that when that date and the location is officially set. So again, follow our website, follow our Facebook. We'll get it out to the chamber, so she'll share it with you as well. I wanted to give a quick update. Tyson, I know everyone always wants to know what the project is on that. It's very much still alive. We're still moving forward on that, although rather slowly. They got a new CEO last summer, and since that point, they've hired several new directors for all their departments, including their governmental relations person. So we've kind of had to start over with some of their leadership. And then, of course, we had an election in the state of Kansas with new leadership as well. But I would say I couldn't be more optimistic about our leadership right now. Having our own Southeast Kansas Secretary of Commerce is a huge asset for us with David Tolan. He's personally one of my very good friends. We went to grad school about the same time. So we're good friends, and I'm excited to hear that we have strong leadership that's helping us push this forward. There's some work that we're working on quietly behind the scenes with the state of Kansas, getting the policies for our waste management, litter control, making sure that we are higher and better than our surrounding states, because we really want to set an example in the state of Kansas on how poultry should be done properly with this high-tech technology that this new industry could bring to the state of Kansas. The next thing I wanted to talk about is Walmart. So I'm sure you guys all saw the exciting announcement that we have a tenant in the former Amazon facility. Although they're only leasing about 35,000 square foot, this is kind of a test facility for them. So they're using it right now to build shelving, to train employees for some new stores they're going to be opening in the region. So we're really excited to hear that. One, it means there's a new store opening in the region. But two, it means that they're using our facilities for something they haven't really done before. So we have an opportunity to really market ourselves to Walmart to see if could the rest of this facility be doing the same thing? Could you use this as a facility for the whole country or for the Midwest to build these shelving units, to get them shipped out of Montgomery County and do some training for your employees? We're only 2 hours away from their corporate headquarters, so that makes a lot of sense. And of course, we know that the cost of living and the cost of real estate here is significantly less than it is over there in Bentonville. So fingers crossed. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, which I think is probably the most critical for you all to hear, is we have the opportunity to host the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Kansas here in Independence. And he specifically chose to come to the city of Independence to tour our community and to learn more about what it's like to live in rural Kansas. He wants to know about the great things that are happening. He wants to know about the good things that are happening, but he also wants to know about the ugly things that are happening and the things that are not so good that are happening in rural Kansas. We know there's a good mix of all of it. So I was selected as one of the co-hosts to represent Southeast Kansas. Probably the reason why is I'm also the person that represents all of you and all of economic development for the entire region of Southeast Kansas on the Kansas Economic Development Alliance Board of Directors. And then also Jim Correll, our ICC Fab Lab Director, is the other co-host. So we're really excited to have a nice following and to have it here in Montgomery County. So the reason why this is so important is, I don't know if you followed the legislature last year at all, but last year, every single day in a new committee that was formed in the legislature, which was the Office of Rural Prosperity, had hearings and sessions from people all over the state of Kansas, from people all over the country, and even from other countries, to come in and talk about what are the epidemics, the problems, the successes, the challenges that rural America is seeing. And they had experts from all over the world saying, well, you know, the cost of healthcare, you're never going to have a rural hospital. We're not going to have that anymore. We heard from countries or from other cities that said, well, why even bother with rural? Everyone's moving to the city anyway. We need to make sure that our voices are heard. And we're very lucky to have a lieutenant governor who's very, very passionate about rural America and rural Kansas. But we know that one day an Independence is not going to cover just even Independence. I mean, you see the list that Lisa provided, right? So there's no way to tour all of Independence in one day. There's no way to tour all of the issues that are facing just Independence in one day, let alone the entire southern half of the Southeast Kansas region. So what we're doing is something a little different, I think, even than some of the other rural communities are doing with his tour, is we are having some smaller breakout sessions to get some one-on-one, in-depth, detailed conversations with the Lieutenant Governor on some specialized issues, coming from mental health to infrastructure to workforce, housing, some really specialized issues that we know are really affecting our communities and our ability to grow and prosper in rural Kansas. So if you're interested in attending some of these very detailed one-on-one sessions, please reach out to me. We have a very, because he wants it intimate, very limited guest lists that are allowed to those, is what per Lieutenant Governor's guidance. So if you have some expertise or really want to make sure you're part of that conversation and have something to give to him, please reach out to me. My phone number is 620-331-3830. Or again, you can find us on our website, actioncouncil.com. The last piece of that is at 6 p.m. on July 23rd at ICC West in their big event center. We are going to be hosting a large public listening session. And these are going to be round tables similar to what you're sitting at now, but I think we're not even going to have tables because we expect to pack the house. Again, we're representing all of Southeast Kansas, and this room alone would probably get close to filling that space. So come to that session with your thoughts of what are the good, the bad, the ugly. What does it mean to prosper in rural Kansas? What does it mean to grow our economy? And how do you think we should grow our economy? So if you can come to that session with those thoughts in mind, that would really help get the conversation going and making sure that we cover all of our issues. So with that, I'm going to leave you with a couple things. We've seen some losses in Montgomery County just in this month. 3 of our retailers left Montgomery County, 2 in Coffeyville, and 1, of course, Vintage here in Independence. So I wanted to make sure that we are left with something optimistic. Because we have seen these closures, I think there's something really critical that we should all be aware of, that each and every one of our small businesses, from Indie Brew Works to Hannah's House to our medical facilities here that's our sponsor here today, we have to make sure that we support our local businesses. if you're driving down to Bartlesville to have a cheeseburger, let me tell you about 4 other cheeseburger restaurants here in Montgomery County that you should be getting your cheeseburger at. Okay? So make sure you are eating and dining and drinking and shopping and using the services here in Montgomery County. Because if you don't, they might not be here next month. All 3 of those happened without any notice. None of them reached out to us. Not a single one let us know that we were at risk. Not a single one of them let us know that, hey, we're on the ropes. Can you help us out? These businesses can close in a heartbeat, and if you don't support them on a regular basis, our local restaurants are not your special occasion restaurants. They are your I eat there every Tuesday night restaurants. I'm going to go there every single Thursday to go have a drink. I'm going to go there, well, maybe not. Okay. Lemonade. Okay. Make sure you support your local businesses so that they stay here in Montgomery County. And also, those 5 that I'm recruiting, they need to see that our businesses that are already here are thriving. So we can't get the new ones unless you support the current ones. So thank you very much for having me, and I appreciate your time.
Good job. And thank you for all that you do. That's a big job. Taking care of all of us. Okay, so our next group, we have multiple speakers that are representing Hannah's House. Hannah's House is, again, it's another one of those entities in our community that is very, very important. It's providing a great resource. And at this time, I want to welcome my friends, Pastor Dick Drummeller and his wife, Lisa. They're here to talk to you all about Hannah's House, and then we're going to have some special guest speakers after they're finished.
Good morning. It's so good to be here. You know, what started as a dream many years ago and a calling on our lives, independence, and then we started planning in 2011. So we stand here today, and I want to say thank you to Independence. Every single person that's donated anything, my goodness, we would not be here today except for our community. And that's something you guys can give yourselves a hand for, because wow, we have been able to help so many lives through your donations, whether it was a house donation, a car donation, food donations, clothing donations, finance, donations to keep our houses going. Amazing. It is my honor to live in this community and to be a part here to see lives transformed through you guys' giving. And anyway, so here we are. It's 2019, and we started planning in 2011, opened the houses in 2012. We have some information, so as you go out, you can pick up some flyers on it. So anyway.
And I want to say thank you also. We love this community, and we're excited. We feel like God's got great things in store for Independence, Kansas. And, one of our favorite scriptures, and I challenge you all to join us, but we pray for this community on a regular basis. And Proverbs 11:11 says that when the righteous bless the city flourishes. And we've been blessing this city and praying over this city on a regular basis. But just real briefly, because we want to get to some of the stories. But, when we started Hannah's House, some people spoke over us, some spiritual leaders, and they said, well, we don't know what this means, but we feel like when Hannah passed away, they told us, and that's been a lot of years ago, that Hannah's life was going to be a seed, and you would have many sons and daughters. And I would just like the group from Hannah's House stand up here. That's here. This is a small portion of them. But and as of this day, you can have a seat, but we have had the privilege of almost 500 now residents that have been, and we don't charge them anything. They live there 24/7. We have a saying that some people call it chaos. We call it family. Amen. We are family. Yeah, and there's no charge. We've had almost 500, and one thing we want to make clear that is kind of confusing in the community: Hannah's House is not a homeless shelter. A lot of people think we're a homeless shelter. We are not a homeless shelter. We are a program. We are a discipleship program, and it's like going to school. It's like going to college. They get up every day at 7. They can tell they go to class all day. They have work zones. They go somewhere every single night. We keep them accountable 24/7. And so anyway, it's not a homeless shelter, although we thank God for the homeless shelters. We need that in the community, but Hannah's House is not that. And, and then before I have some come share real quick, I was through the Leadership Independence class years ago, and it was a great experience. And one of those classes, I don't know if you remember, you were one of the teachers, but we did this thing called stories, and we sit and we broke up and we just took time to tell each other's stories, the total strangers. And it was amazing, the power of a story and how when you hear somebody's story, it just changes your whole perspective, because how many know you get the perception, but until you've heard somebody's story, you don't really know them. And one of the things we say all the time, you cannot grow up in a smoky house and not come out smelling like smoke. And a lot of people look at where people are, but they don't know where they've been. I tell people, if you've been where they've been, you might be where they are. And, and so I wish we had the time to line up every one of these guys and you hear their stories. Because when you hear their stories, I'm telling you, you wouldn't believe the miracles that are sitting right over here. Amen? And sorry, but yep. It's a kind of emotional thing. And then, Jesus said this, and I'm going to shut up. He said this. We could talk all day. We could talk all day. Literally, we could line people up all day long and tell you success stories. But Jesus said, you'll know them by their fruit. And so we're going to just let you hear from some of the fruit, and we don't take the credit. This is a God thing. We're not that smart, and we didn't know what we were doing. Right. This is the most crazy thing we've ever done. Yes. It's consumed our lives. We do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But as I say, we wouldn't trade it for the world. And so anyway, and we're one of the things we take these old houses. Between me and Lisa, Hannah's house, and our church, we have 12 houses. 10 of those are occupied. 2 are uninhabitable right now. But we take old houses and we do just like we do with our lives. We try to rehab them, bring them back to life, because my saying is it doesn't take much to improve on living on the street or under a bridge. If you can turn the water on and get the utilities on, that's better than a bridge or an alley. Amen? And so that's kind of our philosophy. So anyway, but what we're going to do is we got a couple here, and we're going to start with, actually I want to start with Jessie Renee. Yeah, Jessie Renee. And Jessie Renee is one of our graduates, and she is now working full-time at Cessna, and I'll let her tell your story. She's a miracle.
Hello, community. My name is Jessica Renee. I came to the Hannah House in October 24th after 3 years of my life just falling apart, losing my kids to foster care. It was really, really bad. I came to Hannah House actually just with the hopes of getting my kids home. I didn't realize it was a discipleship program, but among coming there, it was like the best thing that ever happened to me. I found out who God was. I felt love for the first time through all of these people, Pastor Dick and Pastor Lisa. Now that's what my life is serving God, His will over mine. We went to court like 72 days after I got into the program, and the court was still not going to give me my kids back. They're like, no. Of course you want to change, once your kids are on severance, My old me would have just walked out and said, all right, I tried, but something inside of me, God, He's like, just stick through it, and so I stuck through it. And I'm getting my kids back home September 20th. I work at Cessna. I have 254 days clean, so I have family and friends. Like, I was so alone before I came here. Just if I need help, that used to be something that stopped me from getting my kids home. It's like, well, who would you call if, and I'm like, I would just figure it out, but now I can say, all these people and all you guys to thank for it too. Thank you guys for supporting the Hannah House. It's changed my life tremendously and my kids' life, so thank you.
And I will say that she's living in one of our reintegration houses at Hannah's house. We have the utilities are already on, so when they get done, they can just move in. They don't have to pay the deposit, gets them a jump start. And so next, we're going to have Amber Morse come. And by the way, Valerie, stand up, Valerie, and Pastor Jim, they're our board members. They're here. Pastor Jim, stand up back there. They're on our board. And Amber is actually Valerie's sister, but she is now working full-time for Hannah's House. So,
Hi, I'm Amber Morse. I'm currently working as administrator for the Hannah's House, but my history with the Hannah's House doesn't begin as with employment. I checked myself into the Hannah House in April of 2017. I struggled with drug addiction and alcohol addiction for 10 plus years. I remember thinking that I would never be able to shake it, you know. After moving into the Hannah's House, I was able to learn like the love of God and who I am in Christ, and really be able to focus on my family. It's made me a better mother, a better sister, a better daughter, you know. And when everybody else I felt had given up on me, I had Pastor Dick and Pastor Lisa and the staff at the Hannah's House that encouraged me and welcomed me and helped me transform into who I really am, and that's a child of God.
and she's doing awesome because when the girls come in, she can connect right with them because she's been there, you know, and she just has an awesome attitude. And then last but not least is we call him the sheriff in town, but James has been full-time. He's currently full-time working at Hackney, but we're working to get him back on full-time. And Ashley, why don't you stand up, his beautiful wife? She's one of our graduates, and stand up there. And she helps at Hannah's House almost full-time, just volunteering. But James,
well, 3 years and 6 months ago, I came to Independence, Kansas. A drug addict, an atheist. I didn't believe in God. I needed a change in my life, and Pastor Dick opened the door up, and he helped me. For the last year and a half, I've been working for Hannah's House. I moved away 8 months ago, and I was gone for 5 months. I've usually been back for 3 months now. And when I left, I realized that it's not just a town that you live in. It's a home that you live in. You know, Independence I've met great people here in Independence, Kansas. You know, Chris Mitchell, Pastor Jim. You know, they've all been there and they've reached out and they've helped us out, you know. But when I moved away, I realized that the town I lived in is where I came from, where I used to live at. And I wasn't happy. I wasn't, you know, I mean, me and my wife were both working and we had good jobs, you know, but it wasn't home. And my son came up to me that, you know, we moved back there because of our kids. I didn't see my kids for 7 years. You know, I was in and out of prison, and, you know, my ex-wife just didn't think that a drug addict was to be a good dad, and she's right, I wasn't. But, you know, God has restored that relationship. So I went home, back to my old hometown, and I was there for 6 months. My son came to me. He's like, you need to go back to Independence. He said, that's where your home is. You know, and he's right, because your home is where your heart is, and this Independence is where my heart is. You know, Hannah's House. I mean, like he said, all these lives are being changed, you know, and it's because of people in our community that help out, you know. And I thank you guys for helping out and doing what y'all can do for us, you know, and thank you guys so much.
Yeah, and I just want to thank you, and I think I got 2 minutes. I'm a preacher, so I'm watching the watch, okay? I'm a preacher, okay? And just real quick, I want Will to stand up. Will's graduate. He's working full-time at Seal Tight. Jessica's at Cessna working full-time. James is at Hackney, one of our graduates, working full-time. She's working at Hannah's House. Big John, stand up. He's working full-time at Hackney now, one of our graduates. John Perez, stand up. He goes to work Monday full-time at Hackney. Amen. And so right now we have almost 100% job placement. If they finish the a 4-month program, right now we have just a few that haven't, but almost 100%. We can give them a chance and a job, and with either Hackney or Standard Motors or Cobalt. We have a lot that work at Cobalt, a lot around here in town. So I just want you to know it is working, you know, and we're family, and that's the heart of it. Because most of these guys have never had family, they've never had fathers, they've never had mothers. And so if you're looking for something to do to volunteer, come and talk to us, because we're beautifully in over our heads. And so, you know, we need all the help we can get in any way, shape, or form, donations. You got old houses, let us know, because we got a crew that can go in and we can try to rehabilitate them. Yes.
Aren't you glad you went first? You two have to follow that show. Well, I just want to say on behalf of I'm going to just represent all of us in the room and the city and everyone. We couldn't be more thrilled that we have Hannah's House in our community. We couldn't be more proud of all of you and all that you're doing to make your lives better. We couldn't be more happy to be able to have you guys all here with us today because we're all part of the same community. It doesn't matter what our struggles are or anything. So I'm so happy for all of you and all the strides that you're making. I don't know how long ago it was that Hannah's House spoke at Celebrate, but I'm telling you, there was not a dry eye in the room that day. If you were there, you remember that. Those stories they told were so powerful, just like the stories that you told today. So you're brave beyond anything that you probably realize, and you're loved by a lot of people. It's not often that you can point out friends like this, as all of us can say, the people that you can count on. Not everyone has a group of strong friends that they can pick up the phone and call when they need it. So you're fortunate in that, and congratulations on all that you're accomplishing. And just know that all of us in town, they have needs. So I just encourage you to stop by and talk to Pastor Dick before you leave about if it's on your heart that you have something that you think you can be supportive in, stop by and say, hey, what do you need? And let him tell you what they need so that we can continue supporting Hannah's House in our community. So good job. And I do have to give them a little shout out because they help with recycling. They are big into recycling, and I can't tell you how much that we appreciate that because we've been doing that for years and years, and for many years it was a core group of people that did it every month, and so it's nice. I know Renee's been out there and Amber's been out there, and I saw hands go up. You guys have been out there, and who all has helped at recycling? Yay! Thank you for giving back to the community. So. All right, so our third speaker today is a familiar face. He's been here before. I know you're all excited to hear what he has to share regarding one of our new businesses that will be coming to town. So would you please welcome Robert Box with Indie Brew Works.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is the second time I've gotten the opportunity to speak here, and the first time that I came and spoke was in September, and this is just such a cool thing for me because in September everything was an idea, everything was a concept, everything was drawings on paper, and at this meeting here, I'm going to be able to show you some pictures to where all those ideas and concepts now are actual things, like stuff you can see, stuff you can touch, and it's really exciting for us. I'm going to just talk for a minute, and then I'm going to let the pictures do most of the talking for me. But I did want to start out by saying why we wanted to do a brewery and why we picked that business in particular. I got introduced to craft beer a few years ago, and it wasn't the beer itself that kind of brought us to this as a business model. It was what it can bring to a town, what it can bring to a community. If you go to Google and you Google small town USA breweries or small downtown redevelopment brewery, if you just Google that, there will be countless stories that pop up from all across the country, from California to Illinois to the East Coast. I mean, anywhere where it'll pop up and tell you about a town square that was kind of going out, and then someone came in and put in a little brew pub, and then it filled in around that brew pub. And I always thought that was such a cool concept of how this thing could bring people from a town together. When I got my first real grown-up job, I was working at Bayer Crop Science, and we were working in Raleigh, North Carolina. And after work, we would go to this little brew pub that was right around the corner from us. And one time, me and my wife were sitting there, and we look around the table and having this little craft brewery that had come and we were trying beers from there. And next to me sitting my boss, who was from Germany, and then his boss, who was from Brazil, and then his boss, who was from India, and then her boss, who was from France, because it's an international company. So I'm looking up, and there's 5 levels up past me, and we're all sitting there talking about beer and the NC State Duke game that happened the day before. And it was such a cool, and I'm sitting there, I was like, this is really cool because I should have no business talking to these people at all because I'm entry level and they don't know my name. But it was such a neat, and things like that I thought was such a cool thing that a craft beer could bring people together to just hang out. So then we would start touring breweries around town, and we went to Full Steam Brewery in Durham, North Carolina, and I'm sitting there, and I thought it was so neat because they didn't have any TVs, so people were sitting there with their families, and kids are running around, and there's college kids, there's every age demographic, there's there is every single person from town is there. I mean, every single demographic that you can possibly think of is sitting in that room and just hanging out, and nobody's looking at each other thinking it's weird that this is such a mixed hodgepodge of the town, because it's just the town. It's just a little bit of the town, and I always thought that was such a cool thing to feel like you were just there in the middle of it. So I want to talk about why we picked our name as Indie Brew Works. The first reason we really went with that, we had thrown around a dozen names and even drawn up little mock logos, and we were taking votes, and it was always split 50-50 in our group. And so my wife had to, when she went to go get the LLC, she had to get a placeholder for it. So she picked Indie Brew Works, and then we never changed it. So because we liked it, and the reason is because we sat there and we go, you know what, I kind of like that. And we wanted to put Indie in the name because the first thing is that obviously we're very proud of where we come from, and this would not have happened without a lot of support from a lot of people here in town. And so we always want to say thank you first and foremost, that this is not a one person or one group of people thing to come to a realization. This is definitely a group effort. But we also want people to know where we're at. So if you're from out of town, if you're from other parts of the county, we want you to be able to come to town and spend money here in town and be able to find us. But another big thing is that our goal is we don't want to just open a storefront. We want to distribute out to where if you're going out to Parsons or to other towns around here, you can go to a bar or grill and see our tap handle up there on the tap, and you can say, that's from my town. That's something that's made in my town, and we're proud of it. And that's really what it is. We want it to be a source of pride for our community. So do we have a clicker I can use to... Oh, okay. All right. So I do want to give a quick update on the building and how we're going with it. So this is the before pictures. I took this, I think, January 23rd was when I took them. So that's the outside of it. And then next one. So that's the inside of it when we first came in. And they had a drop ceiling, and this was the old... There was a taxidermy shop and a bait shop in there. This is that building on 223 West Main. And so the first thing they did was tear out that drop ceiling. You can see what kind of the shape the tin ceiling was in. This is the back wall. And so the first thing we did, if you hit the next one. Oh yeah, there's another one. And so that's what it looks like up front when we walked in. And it's just kind of falling apart. So the first thing we did was we got the plaster off that wall, because one thing we wanted to do was, that building's 100 years old. It was built in 1900, and we really wanted it to be the focus point. We didn't want to put a lot of stuff to cover up, because there's a lot of history there, and that's been in this town for a long, long time. It's been a lot of different things, and I think it's cool. And you'll see later, but there's beams of wood that run through that brick. And that wood's been there for 100 years. I mean, it's been there for a long time. And even the pattern on the brick, I've had friends walk in that know more about architecture than I do, but they'll be like, oh yeah, this pattern was used between this time. I mean, it's just the order that they used for the bricks is just a cool thing to see. So we didn't want to cover that up. And if you hit the next one. So there it is. That's the wood I'm talking about. So, and all this just really pretty brick was just kind of hidden behind this old plaster. So then the next thing we did was that we cleaned up the ceiling. We moved some tiles around to get where the usable tiles are all visible, and then we painted them. And we went with white instead of black because we wanted it to look kind of more open, so you felt not so confined in there. So here we've got all the plaster taken off and cleaned up, and then we've got the ceiling cleaned up, and then we started building the bar top. And so we couldn't put the actual top on the bar top until we got the equipment in because they wouldn't fit behind the bar to get in. And that was an adventure in itself. This was the most stressful day of my life, besides my kid being born. It was, and you'll see pictures of that here in a second too.
The kid being born, or?
No, just that, not the kid. I do have a picture. The kid's in the presentation, but not him being born. So then and I think this is the most dramatic change, was the front of the building, getting to put in those new windows. And we just had the lights turned on like this last week because you didn't need them. I mean, it's so bright in there with all those windows. So the tanks got here about a month ago, and this is how they shipped in. And you can see this one's on its side because it was so tall it wouldn't fit in on the cargo truck. And so this was like I said. So this is how we took them off with a forklift, and that was it made me a little bit nervous watching those guys come off. And then you can hit it, and so we had to just move them. We just had to get them off the truck, move them to the side, and then got a pallet jack to move them in. Okay, so this is my favorite picture of all time, and I do want to brag on this. This is my 2-year-old son. And so my wife had to go out of town for a funeral. So this was the first day she had ever been away from him for a full day. He'd never spent the night anywhere. So it's just me and him, and the tanks could only get delivered that day that she was gone. So he was a champ that day, and he sat there and he played on his iPad, or he was happy, and we ate a lot of snacks that day to keep him happy. But I love this picture because this was the end of the day. We'd already gotten almost all the tanks in, and he was just sitting and was just a champ all day. So I love this picture. So here's once we get them all in, and we get them all lined up, and I mean, you can kind of keep going through it here. And all this equipment's made in Lincoln, Nebraska. It's American-made equipment, and that's our head brewer, Tim. This is once we get them all set and stood up. That big tank, we had to recruit some help from Chris Moore and his company. Yeah, and so because I stressed about getting that tank stood up for like 4 days, I called a dozen places, asked them if they had an A-frame, if they had anything we could use to stand it up because it's almost 10 feet tall. And Chris showed up with a bunch of guys and said, let's just stand it up. And so they just picked it up, like just barehanded, and stood it up. But here's now that once we got the tanks in, we could get the bar top installed. And this is all, it's a cutting board. So all those are real pieces of wood. I mean, it's not a laminate. That's actual wood that we put on there. And one thing we wanted to do with the room is that everything in there is real. Like it's real tight. There's not laminate. There's not... there's not a laminate over anything, but it's real wood, it's real tile, it's real brick on everything. Because we want, like I said, the room itself's already a cool room. It's got a cool history to it, and so we wanted to keep it to feel very genuine. So this is our head brewer, Tim Hardy. Tim just moved to town. He graduated from the World Beer Academy in Munich, Germany. So he spent about nine months total there, and it was 5 days a week. 5 to 6 days a week, 8 hours a day making beer. So him and when he was going to school at Texas A&M, and his dad came up to him called him one day and said, I'm going to go to the World Beer Academy. Do you want to come with me? And so Tim dropped out of class that day and went to the World Beer Academy went with him to Munich. And then so he basically has a master's degree in beer. And then he also graduated from the same academy, but another kind of a class, different part of it from Chicago, Illinois. He's also a nationally certified beer judge, and him and his dad own the Homebrew Supply, or he did, and he doesn't now because he lives here. But they ran the Homebrew Supply store in Lubbock, Texas, where we're all originally from. And he's real excited because he's in the process of buying a house. It's not officially done yet, but he's put in an offer and all that good stuff. So he'll be an Independence resident here in the next month. So this is my other favorite picture. So I did want to, and this picture shows me a couple things, that I'm easily the least attractive person in my family. So this is my wife Jessica and my son Rickson, and Jessica's with Rickson right now at home, but she She does this full time, and I'm also a firefighter in Coffeyville. So every third day I'm gone, and so on those days she's being mom and business owner at the same time, and she's answering phone calls and she's doing financial works and she's scheduling stuff, and so she's working just as hard, if not harder, than any of us on this, and she's been doing a great job, and I'm super thankful to have her helping. And Coach, if you would give me about 16 years, I got your D end right there. So he can't catch, so he's going to have to play defense. Yeah. So, and then like on that last slide though, we do have our website up and running. So if you want to come find us at indiebrewworks.com, and then we also have our Facebook and our Instagram. So we constantly post pictures of the build out and updates, and we'll have pictures of the beer once we get going and starting dates and all that good stuff. So thank you so much for having me. Did I time that out? Well, okay. So thanks so much for having me. I love to get to come and talk about it and get to talk about beer and what we're doing. We're very excited about it. So thank you.
As
soon as we can. As soon as we can, yeah.
Okay, so I asked him the question you all wanted to know, which is when they're going to open. He says, as soon as they can.
Yeah, we will post it as soon as. So, okay, so yell. So we've got all of our national permits, our state permits, and our city permits now. So we're 100% legal to make beer. So we have to just get those tanks functional, and we're just waiting on one or two things to get sold. So that's just what we're waiting on.
All right. We'll wait patiently then. Or impatiently, yes, that's right. Okay, our final speaker this morning I don't think he's a stranger either. He's new in his position, but he's no stranger to Independence. Would you please welcome the brand new head coach of the 2019 Pirate football team, Kiyoshi Harris.
Hey, I appreciate you guys staying around. You know, we call this like the fourth quarter and so on like this right here. So this is like the downhill stretch for us and so on. But I appreciate Lisa and the chamber allowing me to come on in and speak. And so it's been an honor so far. And Pastor Dick and Lisa keep us on the prayer list, or put us on the prayer list, especially this weekend. So before we get going, you know, I brought two people with me, so I'd like to introduce them. Of course, some of you guys we always get confused. I'm a little bit bigger guy, a few more pounds, but I brought Coach Keith Donnerson here, right here. He's my associate head coach, D-line coach, strength coach. He's my community liaison. Just in case I can't get out in the community, I send him right there. He's a good guy. I've known him for a long time, years. Then a lot of you guys, you've heard Lisa and myself talk about her, but I don't know if you guys recognize the name and a face, and that's my wife, Julie Harris, right there. She actually is a teacher, English teacher. That's the backbone. She's the smarts, the brains behind all this right here. She teaches English at the high school and so on. But my new friends over here at the Hannah House, man, you guys are more motivation than what you guys might realize, and I appreciate you guys doing what you're doing. Keep up the good work. And you know, a lot of people have a story. Statistic-wise, I'm not supposed to be standing here right now, so I thank you for what you're doing. Thank you very much. And let's get started real fast. You know, I know I'll kind of keep it in a time frame because everybody has things to do. Believe it or not, all our guys are coming. We like to say the boys are coming back in town. So we got the boys coming back in town today. So it's going to be a busy day for us. You know, it was a long night. You know, we enjoyed the festivities. You know, Independence is a great place. You know, I'm a resident. I got my Independence ID. Me and my wife got the house, so we were able to experience our first Independence fireworks show last night. Thank you very much, into the city of Independence. And but it was a long night, so I had to get back into the office and prepare for the guys coming back in. So when you see a lot of big fellas, you know, walking around the city, you know, that's our boys right there. You know, we wanted to try, of course, change the culture, but we wanted to change the look of our guys too at the same time. A lot of our team and a lot of our staff, I'm a big person on infatuation. I got a lot of stories about that, but Coach Donnerson can probably tell you. I like a lot of length. I like a lot of size, and so that's what we try to go ahead and recruit this year. We always talk about goals when it comes to our team. I believe goals is something that we set even outside of football. I believe everybody in this room right here probably should be setting some form of goal. You know, when I came to Independence in 2000, it was actually 3 years ago, July 2017. many of you guys don't know, I was only supposed to be here for 4 months. The old former head coach, Coach Brown, brought me in. I took a leave of absence, and I was only supposed to stay for 4 months. I came on out here from a metropolitan area to the rural Independence, Kansas, and like a lot of you guys, my man right here, I fell in love with it. And so I resigned from my position back in California, and I stayed here. A year later, my wife came out and she joined me, and so it's been heaven ever since. But we have goals here at Independence Community College this year. We're trying to change the culture. We're trying to change the mindset of our players, hopefully our community members, people on campus. So with the first slide right here, our number one goal right now, we kind of live day to day, and so I don't want to try to think too far in advance. Hopefully all you guys can hear me right now. I'm not used to talking on a mic. I usually have a loud voice, so I'm not trying to blow you guys' ears out. But it's basically our whole, and it starts today, because most of our kids, we had 8 of them come in yesterday, so majority of them come in on Friday and Saturday. So our first overall goal is to win summer 2019. Now you'll see over the next probably 6 months, we have D1 at the top, bowl eligible in the middle. So for us to become bowl eligible, we got to win 6 games, and that's going to take a lot of you guys' support. And it starts on August 24th against Dodge City here at home. But our goal is bigger than winning games. We want to get our kids to college, and I'll talk to you about that in a quick second. Next, please. Now, a lot of you guys, I've seen out in the community, and I've talked to you guys, but you guys are probably wondering who's this big crazy guy up there talking to me right now. So who is Coach Harris? Well, basically, next one, please. Uh-oh. There you go. So I basically try to go through my phone, and I try to find some pictures of who this guy is. Now, realistically, I love good food, as you guys can probably tell. And honestly, I've gained about 15 pounds since being here in Independence because the food is so well. So I'm sad to see Vintage go, but there's some good food out here. All right. I'm a family guy. I'm a homebody. Me and my wife, we have 4 kids. And so, if I'm not out in the community as much, later on past the evening, it's because we work long hours, and I like just going home. I'm one of those dudes. I just sit at home. I'm a little bit different. I get a little bit older, so I go home. And I recruit, and I sit in my recliner, and I just talk to my wife, and we watch a movie and so on. So I try to get in the gym every once in a while, but I also like to fish, and I've noticed there's some good fishing out here in Kansas, so I appreciate that. So that was taken a couple of weeks ago. Me and my wife go out to the little lake, and I just put my pole. It gives me a chance to kind of take my mind off football a little bit. And then, I work long hours. Like, my office is always open. Any of you guys want to come on and visit, please do. And I have an open door policy, but like I was in the office last night to 12. So it's like, that's what my life consists of. Go ahead, please, next. Now, a lot of you guys probably want to answer about when is Last Chance U coming out. Well, July 19th is the debut. I'm kind of like cringing with one eye myself a little bit. Kind of a lot of people are saying kind of what's going on. Realistically and honestly, we haven't seen the show yet at all. So I'm sitting there praying. Pastor, please put us on the prayer list for that one too. As of last year, we saw the show. We were able to see it about a month in advance, and so we haven't been able to see the show. Part of the reason is not because, the director is a really great guy. He's a good man. I talk to him frequently. It's just because they added a couple of extra episodes, so it kind of pushed things back a little bit. And I know a lot of people have concerns kind of about how it portrayed the city of Independence and, kind of what's going on with that. And, we've had a lot of bad press, but realistically, Last Chance U is something that kind of helped as far as put Independence on the map in my eyes, too, at the same time. Yes, everybody has their own opinions. Within the program, it did a lot of great things for us, Now, it did expose a few people. We all know that, but it also kind of helped bring a lot of things to our program that many people don't understand. Like, our biggest thing was, our Adidas contract that you'll see a lot. I'm not wearing too much Adidas gear today, but, I got to go meet with another gentleman right now, which is going to, generate some revenue within the community, which is good. But, we were given, hundreds of $1,000s in Adidas gear. But, to let you guys know, it does come out the 19th, so we'll be able to view that. We'll be in the middle of camp season. So hopefully, it does, give us a good look at kind of things. It is probably going to be the last show. I can probably tell you that as far as, just the whole documentary series, talking to the director. They're kind of going in a different route. So, we didn't have the cameras out there at Spring at all. The last time the cameras came out there was when they filmed our kids sign on signing date. So it was kind of a different feel. And to be honest, it was a good feel. It allowed us to go out and coach. But we are going to miss the perks. The crew was great. To be honest, we made a lot of good friends from the crew. And, they're good people. So hopefully, everything works out in the favor. Now, you guys got to understand, they filmed us 6 days a week for probably close to 15 or 16 hours a day for realistically 8 hours. So Coach Harris and, Coach Donnerson and a lot of our staffs, we were mic'd up. So they had a crew that started, because we started practice at 5:45 in the morning. So they had a crew there at 5:30. Then they brought another crew in at about 9:30 a.m. The crew at 9:30 a.m. worked probably to about 8 or 9 at night. So they got a lot of hours to kind of take all these hours and put into 8 hours. My job as a coach is to, guess what, win football games, get our kids to college. Greg Whiteley's job as a director is to try to be number one on Netflix. So just kind of tell you that a little bit. It is reality TV, it is a documentary series, but he wants views at the same time. So what gives you views? Controversy. I'm just being honest. So, but it is what it is. Next, please. All right. So we adopted a model or philosophy this spring at Independence. We kind of changed things up. Once on the departure of Coach Brown, and I took over, and I talked to Coach Donnerson and Coach Martin, some of the guys that were here last. We have a fairly new staff, and by the way, I'm able to have probably the best staff in junior college football. I went to a meeting last month as far as with some of the other coaches in the Jayhawk Conference, and by far, I probably have one of the most experienced staffs in the conference, and they're a bunch of great guys too, and so on. We lost a few, but I gained a few better ones, so which is good. So we adopted a fourth quarter philosophy, means we must win in all 4 quarters daily. Okay, so I challenge my guys and say, you're going to win doing this, this, and this on a daily basis. Next one, please. So the first quarter that we have to win in is the community, okay? So realistically, I'm preaching to my fellas, and they're such a great guys. I kept the guys that bought in. The guys that couldn't buy in, they're gone, okay? And I didn't lose an ounce of sleep, doing it either. But you look up there, and, we participated in many great community events this past year. The best ones probably, or the most popular ones is First Friday, Act of Kindness. So we had about 65 guys spread out throughout the community doing different things, and they need to do that. They're going to have to do that to the next level, so why not start them right now, okay? And then, like Lisa said, we put on one youth camp, okay, back in June. We're going to put on another free youth camp, and please, please, please bring your kids, grandkids, nieces and nephews, little brothers and sisters. And that's going to be Saturday, July 20th from 9 to 11. Come on out. Coach D runs our youth camp, and so he does a great job. We'll all be out there. You guys can come out there. It's on our practice field at the school. Bring your lounge chairs, bring your little water, come hang out. We'll play a little music. We'll all have fun, and so on. What our kids love doing, they like going to, I think, Medical Lodge, and they like going playing bingo. And so I tell them over there at Medical Lodge, I said, hey, Coach Harris will bring the snacks. And they like that because they know I'm going to bring some good snacks. And our kids go out there. So you see the picture at the bottom right there of our fellas going and playing bingo, which is a good thing. And then we love when the kids come around and, just onto the campus. And so our kids take a liking in all this stuff. So which is good. No, next one, please. All right, the second quarter that we got to win is in the classroom, okay, and that is huge. Most of our kids come with the mind frame that they love playing football, okay, but believe it or not, that's something that we have to change because a lot of them are really great athletes, okay. You're going to see on a couple more pictures, but they have to put the athleticism and the classroom together. Now, it usually takes them about a semester, I'm going to be all honest, but, when you're so used to everybody's so used to telling them how good of athletes they are and not really preaching to them about academics and education and what it takes to graduate. Now, I'm a straight shooter now, so I want you guys to understand I'm going to keep it real with you guys. They probably wouldn't be here if they took their academics seriously. You know, about 8.5 out of 10 kids that we have end up signing Division I. Okay, so they're good athletes and so on, but they have to understand what it takes to get it done in the classroom to get an associate's degree, which is 62 units here at Independence Community College. And I like to do a little bit bragging. Out of the 22 community colleges in the state of Kansas, we have the highest graduation rate, and we're the smallest community college. We're the smallest community college in the country that plays football. So I want you guys to understand we're doing a pretty dang good job over here at Independence Community College getting our kids graduated. I'm going to show you in a minute. That picture at the bottom, we do classroom checks on the hour. Okay, I'm going to tell you about the life of our coaches in a quick second if Lisa doesn't boot me off here. Okay, but we do class checks on the hour. And so that's one of the class checks where our kids, we poke our head and, we work with the instructors. At the top, we have one of our coaches. That was on a Sunday, believe it or not. He was in there tutoring one of our young players in a math class right then and there. And then, we have study hall picture in the middle. And then, of course, that was this past May at a graduation, okay, right here in this building. Go ahead. Next, please. The third quarter is coming probably. The third quarter is the weight room, and we get to going on this Sunday actually. When all our kids arrive the next 2 days, we're going to take part in a weight lift. They're going to have a test. They're going to have a physical test. We want to see who's been doing what over the last 6 weeks. Our kids that are here are returners. They had about 6 weeks off. Of course, our high school kids coming in, they've had a little bit more time off. So our biggest thing is we want to look better than anybody else in the country. But more than that, we believe, and this is Coach D's philosophy because he is a strength coach and he knows his stuff. He's coached a lot of great players. If you ever get a chance, you just want to talk to him, man, he has some stories. And so we believe that weightlifting is basically the number one thing is injury prevention, okay? And we did a great job this spring, and we saw the injury decline, okay? And so one of our philosophies is eat still. So we want our kids, when they step in foot in the weight room, it's go time and so on. And not only that, a lot of times when you're dealing with athletes and just in general, we want those to carry on the lifelong habits and so on. So a lot of guys who, football's only going to last for 4 years, believe it or not. So we want those habits to carry on throughout the life. I'll go ahead. Next one, please. And the last one is the practice field. Okay, and the game field. So that's kind of like the fourth right then and there. You'll see the big boys right then and there. Now, there's a couple of those guys, we have a fairly large offensive line, so which is good. The bigger, the better, And so, but a couple of those guys right then and there are, one took an injury, so he has to sit out this season, and another one took a scholarship, but we have some other guys to come in and replace them. We have a beautiful practice facility, okay? I don't know if you guys know the story behind that, but when I first arrived here at Independence, we practiced at 5:45 in the morning, and, I love the city field. That's where we play our games. That's what we consider home. But when you're waking up at 4:15 and getting, having to get kids shuttled over there, it's kind of rough and kind of tough for us and so on. So now we're able just to walk up the hill a little bit and practice, and that's where our youth camp is going to be. We took the windscreen down just because of the heavy winds out here in Kansas. Man, they blow, but, it's still a beautiful place, so we'll get it going. Next one, please. Now, we talk about why am I here? What is it all about? I myself, Coach D, we were both junior college or JUCO products. That means we both went to community college or junior college, played sports, and got our degrees. And so that's one of the main reasons why I'm standing in front of you today. Those kids right there, and you can count them right now, those are all the kids that we signed from the 2018-19 class. So basically, those are all the graduates that graduated from ICC that went on to four-year schools. So that's a huge accomplishment, and I think those guys are not here, but I think we just owe them a round of applause, even though they're not here. So you will see there's a wide variety of kids from all different parts of the country. We take Chance Main right there in the middle on the third row, the third one from the left. He was a Cherryville kid. He signed Division I scholarship to Incarnate Word. Okay, then you'll take a kid like David Ports right here. He's in the fourth column all the way over to the right. He never played one down for us. He played practice squad, and we got him a full scholarship to Lincoln University in Missouri. So it's not about basically coming to Independence and being that superstar. It's about coming to Independence, buying in, doing what you're supposed to do, and going and get your education paid for. And that's what we try to do right here. So, which is good. And we have a few more guys that have Division I offers that we didn't put on the list just because they chose to come back and play another season with us, so which is good. Now, yeah, thank you very much. But a lot of people can think we had one. Is Bama on there, Coach? No. So we had one kid that just signed Division I. He could have came back again with us this year, but he had late 3 Division I offers. So we opted and sat down and talked with him and said, he has a horrible home life. Okay, he's gone home one time since he's been here, and he's been here in 2 years. So we kind of suggested, rather than try to use this kid for his academic ability, we suggested and kind of slowly pushed him out so he can go and take his Division I scholarship. He just graduated in this past May. He stayed here and took a class in June just because he didn't have anywhere to go. But he's going to be attending Stephen F. Austin University in the fall. So which is a good success for him. So we'll add another one up there, which is good. Next one, please. Lisa, just tell me, just yank me. You know what I'm saying? We're close? Okay, next one, please. All right, here we go. I'd like to thank the people and some of the people. There's a lot more in the community, okay, that's done so much for our players and so on. And just from, all their different jobs, you'll see Emmett Gooden right there. He'll probably be a draft selection this year, plays University of Tennessee. But that's Mary Bailey. She oversees our dormitory. So there's a lot of people that basically go to the extreme to help out our players and so on. And like the community of Independence has accepted our guys, and a lot of people in the community has tried to help our players, and I thank you guys for that. Next one, please. Right then and there, that's our daily schedule for our kids, okay? So it's busy. It starts at about 5:30 a.m. or a little bit earlier. This will start on Monday. You'll see curfews at 11. They have study hall 8 to 9. So it's a long day, okay? They start summer school class on Monday as well. All right, next one. I think I only got a couple more. The life of a coach is you're sitting right there. So anytime you think, hey, coaching football is not that hard. Well, realistically, our day starts at 5 a.m. We start practice at 6. Somebody has to do the curfew checks. We can't just say, hey, you got curfew and not do the curfew checks, So our day ends at 11. So, that'll be through the month of July. So it is a long day, but, it's worthwhile and, it's fun. Go ahead. Next one. That is our schedule, okay? If you guys need it, I can send it to you. Just email me. I can send a text message as well. We open up game 1 against Dodge City. Okay, hope to see everybody out there. All right, we got 6 away games this year, but Coffeyville, we're counting that as a home game. We're going to take that down this year, so, we'll get it going. So, last one. Right then and there, I got to get out of here. But what Lisa was talking about during the Don Harris on July 27th, we have what's called Helmet and Heels, okay? It's first time. My wife and a few others is organizing it, Brittany Thornton and so on. And so it's for the women, all right? So basically, we don't think that you don't know anything about football, but we just want to get you guys all together. So come on out and ask questions, all right? Thank you very much.
All right, good job. Well, okay, so when's the first home game? August 24th. All right. And if you want to see some Pirates in action, before that, they will be down because they are going to be a part of our superhero group for movie night the last Saturday in July. I think that's the 27th. So the Pirates will be down there that night, too, to help us with our movie night. So thank you, Coach Harris, and thank you, Robert, for Indy Brewworks and all that you're doing. Thank you, Tricia, for keeping our county going with economic development. And thank you, Drum Mellers, for all that you are doing with Hannah's House in our community. And thank you to all of you for the great work that you're doing. So keep it up. And I'll call you again when I need recycling. So we always like to end our day. We're not done. We're going to take a little bit and do some shout outs. You know who you are. Brent Littleton and Dorothy, you guys are up first, followed by Tabitha, and then Mr. Farthing, and then anyone else who has anything after that can get behind him. And then we will end our day with Let the Pies Fly with Chris Mitchell from the Community Access Center, and he will be talking all about all the food that they've been raising for all the kids during the summer months. So Brent, come on over. Got to be right here.
Thank everybody for the support they give Dorothy and I with Dairy Queen. It's hard to believe that store has been at that location for 70 years in this community. March of 1949 was its original opening date. And there's going to be a little history in the newspaper that comes out about it. The reporter did kind of a timeline on the different owners over the years. But a year ago today, we opened that store again. And so this is Dorothy and I's first year of basic ownership. And the things that's happened there has just been wonderful. It's been a blessing to both of us and our families. And we're successful because of y'all, and we want to thank you. With that being said, we're going to have a ribbon cutting today at 11. Today you come in and buy a box of dilly bars, you get a box of dilly bars for free. And the rest of the week there's going to be different specials like that. So we're going to be busy and give away a lot of ice cream. One thing I want to give a shout out to, though, is the Children's Miracle Network. One thing y'all noticed the employees doing is they're selling these balloons. And this is a great cause for society throughout the United States. But all our contributions go to our local Children's Miracle Network chapter. There's a $3 one that you can purchase, and then there's a $1 one you can purchase. Each of them gives you $2 to $4 in free coupons to get your money back. So, and all the money goes to Children's Miracle Network. And it's been, we've sold over 400 of these since we started. And the Children's Miracle Network Day that's being sponsored nationwide is July the 25th, which is a Thursday. And everybody that comes by Dairy Queen that day and buys a Blizzard, $1 of that goes to the Children's Miracle Network that we send a check on. We have about 300 of these Beanie Babies. They're the Children's Miracle Network mascot, I guess you call it. And first 300 people that come through today, well, they'll get a Beanie Baby for their contribution as well. And 104.1, the radio station, we're going to have a live remote that starts at 11:30 today. So we'll be there from 11:30 to 1:30 with the live remote. So just again, Dorothy and I thank you all. Thank you for supporting us. We pray you love our store. And if you have a problem there, I beg you, tell them. Say, man, I got a problem. My French fries are crispy enough, and they'll get you some French fries, okay? Or they didn't give me enough ice for my Dr. Pepper. Well, just tell them, and they'll get you some ice. Please, I implore you to hold us accountable. And if you ever have a problem, if you'll deal with it right then, they're going to be happy to take care of it. We have about 45 employees in that store. 70% of them are high school kids. And, some of them don't know, come here from Sikkim. So just make sure we're doing everything we can to make them useful citizens and train them. But they're not perfect either. So we appreciate your support and thank you very much. But I pray you hold us accountable because we want to be. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Tabitha from Independence Main Street, and I just wanted to give you a reminder about our incredible sidewalk sale. I had to sneak out for a little bit to go do the photo shoot for the paper, so that's why I'm sporting the incredible photo thing here. But it's going to be an incredible day starting at 7:30 with the farmers market, and some of the stores are opening up. It's a very busy day in Independence. It goes clear until the movie night that starts at 8. And showing The Incredibles, so we're kind of playing off that. So it'll be a fun day, July 27th. And then First Thursday will fall on August 1st this year, and that's going to be a busy one downtown. I know the Blake Verdi Foundation will be doing their bake sale that evening, so be sure to get out there and support them. I think all the funds that night are going to Gina Brooklyn Botts' scholarship fund, so we don't want to get out there and support that. And then August 10th, we have joined forces with ICC, and we are holding the block party in the 200 block for these, for all students, not just the football team. It'll be all the students out there. It's move-in day, and we're going to shut down the 200 block. We have a DJ coming. We line the streets with games, and we invite you to come out and welcome them to Independence. Last year, we had a great time, even though it was 127 degrees, I think. It was very hot, but we've pushed it back this year. It's going to be from 6 to 8 instead of 4 to 6. So we encourage you to come downtown that night. Hugo's, Labette Health, and Woods Lumber are sponsoring the cookout, so they're going to be out there with their big grill from Woods Lumber cooking hamburgers and hot dogs and chips, and so it'll be a fun night. night. So we encourage you to come downtown that night and welcome these students, student athletes, the theater department, and all of them to Independence and show them what we have to offer. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm just wanting to share some things. We all want to support our community, and many have done so in many ways. About 3 years ago, maybe 4, a group got together. Gary Hogsett kind of was a starter of this, and they built a community orchard on South 17th Street, about 3 blocks south of Main and 17th. I've been kind of following that, and I ride bike by there quite a bit, as you can see. Here's the fruits. These are windfalls of the apples and peaches that are at that garden. And I assume, Gary, they're for anybody to pick when they're ripe. Am I correct? So if you want a fresh fruit, a fresh peach or fresh apple, the peaches are not quite ready yet. They're probably another week. Apples are probably that much and more. But these were some windfalls that I picked up yesterday, and I thought you might want to see them and see the fruits of our community and what people do when they support. Thank you.
Hello. Y'all, most of you know who I am. Thank you so much for last Sunday night. My husband had a great time playing his trombone, and I'm sorry I'm crying. I've had a very hectic, busy last couple of weeks. But what we are now working on now, and something that's been on our heart for a long time. Okay. In our efforts to help those who are either homeless, hungry, or without employment. My husband and I have been involved in that in various ways since we got here. And part of that is our heart is there because our son has been there. He spent more time in the homeless community in his 38 years than I care to talk about. And I've asked this question, if somebody comes to our community and they have nothing, where do they go? And not just because of our son, because we have a good friend who's in his 50s. He's homeless. Where does he go if he comes to Independence? One gentleman that we helped, we talked to a police officer about him, and the police officer said to me, you know, Independence is becoming known as a community that's a good place to go if you're homeless. And some of us are going, oh my gosh, is that good or is that bad? It could be good because we've got manufacturers that are hungry for entry-level workers that will come to the job and show up. Just show up and do the job. Okay? So what we're attempting to do, we want to start a community picnic potluck this next Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. in the area by the bandshell in the park. We would like to have representatives from groups like the Diversity Task Force, any organization at all in Independence that cares about this community and cares to see the problem of homelessness resolved. Now, I know we have homeless shelters. We have places like Candace Plus, but we don't have an emergency shelter. We don't have a Salvation Army shelter. Where does somebody go when they come to town and they have nothing? So we started this discussion last month at the museum. Chris Mitchell was there. He can tell you the kind of discussion we had about this. How can I make Independence better? And this is one way we could help make Independence better. These manufacturers need good employees, and they're getting them through Hannah's House. But there's also other guys out there that need entry-level employment and need a hand up, not a hand out. So that's what this community picnic is all about. 6:30 by the bandshell, meat and main dish, and watermelon will be provided. Bring a side dish to share, and be ready to just fellowship and talk around this issue. Whether you're a church or whatever, and yeah, I'm sure there's great organizations in Independence that are trying to address this issue and have been for years. We should give them a hand for all the hard work and sacrifice they've done to help people who need help. But I do want to know that, I just want to note this. And the other thing that my husband and I are starting, if you know of anybody, elderly, veterans, disabled, somebody who needs lawn work done, they need a bush trim, they need their property edge, maybe all they can do is mow. Maybe they don't have mowing equipment at all. We are starting a lawn crew who will be service-minded, but they will also get paid a little something for helping us clean up the lawns of Independence. And this is a service project, but it's also, we're going to make sure that those, I got 2 guys I've met at McDonald's, and they're on the streets, living on the streets. We will employ people like that to help do lawn work. It's not a business, it's a service. So if you have anyone like that, my husband's cell phone number is 918-378-1406. His email is very easy, santabone.david@gmail.com. Just like it sounds, santabone.david@gmail.com. We would love to see you at the community picnic this next Tuesday at 6:30 at the band shell. Stay for the concert. And then, like I said, we'll have these community picnics every once in a while through the summer to share and see what we can do to help each other and to help Independence be the best community on the planet. All right? So we'll see you then. And let us know if you need anything done, paid or otherwise. We will work with pastors, churches, anybody that needs lawn work done, because these guys honestly want to work. And we've got the equipment and the know-how to help them get out there and get into employment and get a job reference, so forth and so on. So, anyways, that's my husband and I's passion in our heart right now. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris Mitchell from Community Access Center, and really pleased at the turnout for the Pie in the Face fundraiser. We were able to get $433 in donations and 330 boxes of breakfast food. And next. This is Vincent and Xavier, and they brought in some boxes of cereal. I was really pleased at the kids that came. These two ladies right here. They had a lemonade stand, and they raised money to go into the grocery store and to get all these boxes of cereal. And I thought that was just really, really, really cool. They deserve a round. Now the ones that actually brought in the most money as far as people donating to see a pie in their face, I find a little suspicious. I don't see them here. Zach Jolly was one of them, and Sean Wallace, and followed up by Jerry Bright and Drew Demo. So I'm going to have to call on the ones that I do see here. Gary Morrison, if you would join me here in just a moment. And we actually have one that's kind of hiding here, April. Yes, the ones that actually was at the top are suspiciously missing. So, April, if you would join me, and Gary Morrison, you also, we're going to take a pie in the face for all the money and the boxes of cereal that was raised. And I want to tell you, I'm just was really moved by all the donations that came in, because this was kind of a pilot for us. We just kind of pulled this together, and I'm just really pleased, and it's for an excellent cause, and I just appreciate the community supporting it.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to wrap things up, and then you guys are all welcome to stay and watch the Pie in the Face. But before we conclude First Friday, I want to thank again Montgomery Place for sponsoring this morning, and again for all that you do in the community. We appreciate your support of Independence. We appreciate your support of the Chamber of Commerce, and we appreciate this morning your support of First Friday. So thank you again to Montgomery Place. Thank you to all of the speakers. They did a great job, and I hope you have a great weekend. If you remember, it is the weekend. Being off yesterday completely fouled me up, so I don't know what day it is. But you are welcome to stay and watch the Pie in the Face. With that, have a great weekend, and thank you for coming. We'll see you next month.